election prohibitions and offenses. And this is very timely and relevant for us teachers. Because this coming May, national election, observe manta. So, without much ado, let's welcome Attorney Mary May A. Abellion. Attorney, good morning. Welcome to the MC.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, Sir Suarez, Dr. Suarez, and thank you to Sir Vincent Estrella for inviting me to speak to all of you to give lecture on the COMELEC prohibition, especially now it's the time of May 2022 national and local elections. So there are prohibitions set especially to us public servant. So mag-start ako, sir?
Yes, Attorney.
Okay, sige. Ako sa i-share screen. Okay.
Bata ka sa sir, ma'am?
Shoot lang kayo, sir, ha? Ako sa i-share screen.
Yes, Attorney.
Saan siya? Sige. Google. iPhone. Or sir, pwede na ako
Pwede, Attorney.
Whiteboard, PS. Okay. So, i-download sa ani. Pwede ko na lang ang nakitaan?
Focus, no? Okay na, Attorney. Pwede na ka makashare.
Pwede na. Okay. Sige, wait lang ha. Open system preferences. Okay. Dili lagi siya.
Pwede na po siguro kita mo. You answer. Attorney, pwede
Ako
na
lang
ipasa mo.
ipasa na lang na ako, sir.
Sige, Attorney.
Akong i-forward sa imo, sir, or kag
Pwede na po sa ako, Attorney.
ako i-forward sa imo, sir, ha? Okay. Naglisod kong share screen. Just lang. Okay. Wala. Asa naman to? Other, forward to Sir Suarez. Send na, Doc.
Sige, akong i-check, Attorney, na.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Attorney.
Yes, sir. Ana.
Hello.
Thank you.
Pati di mo alam kung sino. Attorney, okay na. Kita. Attorney, murag nakamute ka, attorney.
Unmute. Okay, so klaro na. Thank you. So klaro na.
Yes, attorney, klaro. Salamat tayo.
Okay, sige. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So, teachers tanan ang kuan ani sir?
Yes, attorney, teachers tanan.
Okay, teachers. Okay.
Salamat tayo, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, to our dear teachers, public and private teachers, or public teachers lang, sir. Are all of you government teachers?
Public teachers, attorney.
Government. Wow. Okay, so now this morning, let's talk about the public employees' role during election and the election prohibitions and offenses. Next slide, please. 61, paragraph I of the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines, it provides that any officer or employee in the civil service, except those holding political offices, like mga chief executives nato, like mayors, governors, vice mayors, or elective political offices. So except them, any officer, employee, or member of the armed forces of the Philippines, or any police force, special forces, home defense forces, barangay self-defense units, and all other paramilitary units that now exist, or which may hereafter be organized, who directly or indirectly intervenes in any election campaign or engages in any partisan political activity, except to vote or to preserve public order, if one is a peace officer, shall be guilty of an election offense. So that is an election offense. So we in the civil service, we're under the civil service rules and regulations. So we are prohibited to directly or indirectly intervenes in any election campaign or engages in any partisan political activity. So sa later part, we will discuss about what are these prohibitions or what are these partisan political activities. So kita pwede at vote or to preserve public order if we are a peace officer. Otherwise, we will be guilty of election offense. Okay, next slide, please. So under the CSC or Civil Service Commission Resolution number 16-00298 dated March 29, 2016, Civil Service Commission reiterates that the said prohibition aims to ensure that government workers will remain focused on the affairs of the government, do away with the spoil system, and shield public service from political influences. Okay, next slide, please. So the question now, can government workers express views on political matters? Diba kita na, manjud ka sa gobyerno, ako na, puko sa gobyerno. kamo mga public school teachers, you are also working in the government. So the question now is, can we express atong views or mo share o isag unsa nga views nato regarding this political matter, especially karong umaabot nga eleksyon? So pwede ba? Next slide please. Next slide. Okay. Section 124 of the Omnibus Rules and Appointments and Other Human Resource Actions provides that nothing herein provided shall be understood to prevent any officer from expressing views on current political problems or issues, or from mentioning the name of candidates for public office whom he/she supports. Because it is also our right man po, di ba, to express our views, or pwede ba na to i-mention ang mga candidate niya kinsa tong ganahan? Pwede. What is important is that wala ta bitaw ni we did not, or we are not soliciting votes, or we are not voting against certain candidate or certain political parties. However, we can express our own views and opinions. Okay? So public officers and employees holding political offices may take part in political electoral activities, but it shall be unlawful for them to solicit contributions from their subordinates or subject them to any of the prohibited acts in the Omnibus Election Code. So kung naay mga natayganan nga kandidato, kasi itong president, vice president, or local candidates, we can like, we can share, we can react to that heart, or any reactions we want. We can express our views and opinion. Okay, next slide, please. Under the CSC Memorandum Circular number 30, series of 2009, it provides that partisan political activities and acts designed to promote the election or defeat of a particular candidate to a public office. So what are these partisan political activities and acts designed to promote the election or defeat a particular candidate or candidates to public office? One, forming organizations. So these are now the partisan political activities. Forming organizations, associations, clubs, committees, or other groups of persons for the purpose of soliciting votes and or undertaking any Okay, next slide. Okay, another partisan political activity, holding political caucuses, conferences, meetings, rallies, parades, or other similar assemblies for the purpose of soliciting votes and or undertaking for or against the election of any candidate for public office. Okay? So, kita, government employee, question, what if nailang caucus din? Mutanaw ka. Pwede ba ta mo adto dito sa public rally din mutanaw? Pwede? Sa inyo ang huna-huna. Sige, before ta mo proceed, kinsay ganahan mo answer? Naay ganahan mo answer?
Ma'am, anawa. Attorney.
Yes, sir. What do you think, sir?
Delegate po ni attorney because as a teacher, we are not we're not one-sided or we are not partisan. Diba? Basta. Delegate po ni attorney.
Delegate pwede? Kanang mutanaw lang ka?
Pwede.
Mutanaw. Kanan, nilabay ka din. Uy, hala, saan? Ganan ka mamilapod ba sa unsay agenda plataforma? Sa kay plataforma ka na ka?
Pwede attorney, pwede.
Kinsa, why?
Pwede na attorney, ilan taon naman ka?
Pwede, okay.
Unless kung ma-appeal ka,
Oh,
ang na mo i-delete, pwede.
okay. So, the answer is, pwede ra. It is your right to be. Okay, putante po ka, di ba? We are also voters, so we also have the right to listen to certain candidate, be it this candidate has a heart or brain or unsa imo ang standard bitaw sa politician running for a certain position. So you have the right to listen. What is not what is prohibited is that you actively participate in political rally.
Yes.
Yeah, you're endorsing candidate and like political rally. Gadala-dala po kang banners dito. Go.
That's correct.
Banners, you are actively participating in a political rally or actively participating in a so that's now the prohibition set under the law. So as to maminaw lang ka, lingkod po ka dito, it is your right. So pwede na siya. So you are not violating any rules or regulation. Lingkod ka dito, minaw, hilom lang ka. Sila na, okay na siya. As long as wala lang dito, you are not campaigning for or against a certain candidate or political party. Okay, next, making speeches, announcements or commentaries or holding interviews for or against the election of any candidate for public office. So, bawal na siya, klaro na kaayo. Okay, next slide please. Next slide please. Pero I think ang ipasabot siguro ni Sir, because you are teachers, kanilang ha, for me, because you are teachers and you will be serving the election, maybe in order to avoid any conflict or image of kanang supporting certain candidate, maybe siguro no, ingon ana, avoid na lang og mga ingon ana.
Yes, ma'am. Mauna akong
Yes. So I think maupod na ipasabot ni mo sir para lang mo prevent or avoid ang kanang bitong image, bisa lang bitong image of support ka sa ka candidate. So ingon ana kay kani nga isa candidate mo sila oy na pwede mo report la inya silingan oy kato si kuan to man dito sa
Especially, yes, sa attorney, especially katay mga
Marites.
picture niya ta ba?
Ngayon ko ka namin na lingkod ko ka or di ba anang sa mga barangay dahil nagkakos-rally din naalas sa gawa sa imong tugkaran itan po kami now. So mga na or bisag napod ana nilabay ka din tindog ka namin now. So para lang ma-prevent ka na bang image appearance, ma-prevent ang appearance that you are supporting a certain candidate or you are supporting against a certain candidate or political parties. Sani dili kaayo po kadungog. Ano sani? Kaayo po kadungog. Nagsuporta mo og certain candidate or you are for against a candidate. Yan mo serve mo sa election so para nawalay sa mo. Okay. Okay. Next, publishing or distributing campaign literature or materials designed to support or compose the election of any candidate or directly or indirectly soliciting votes, pledges, or support for or against a candidate. So kanila ato we should take note or be reminded always that we should not directly or indirectly solicit votes, pledges, or support for or against certain candidate. Okay, next slide please. Being a delegate to any political convention or a member of any political committee or directorate or an officer of any political club or other similar political organization. Another prohibition is that making speeches or publications to draw political support in behalf of any particular party or candidate for public office. Next slide, please. Okay, soliciting or receiving contribution for political purposes, either directly or indirectly, and becoming publicly identified with the success or failure of any candidates or parties are also considered partisan political activities and are grounds for disciplinary action. Okay. Under CSC Memorandum Circular number 9, series of 1992, it also identifies the following as prohibited acts. 1. Using government vehicles in attending political caucuses, conferences, meetings, rallies, parades, or other similar assemblies, activities conducted by political party or candidates. Second, posting and distributing of campaign materials, leaflets, banners, stickers designed to support or oppose the election of any candidate. And next slide, please. Wearing of t-shirt, election paraphernalia bearing the names of candidates or political party, except as authorized by the COMELEC. Another, registering as a member of any political club or party or any other political organization. Okay, next slide is being a watcher for a political party or candidate during election. Of course, grabe na po ni watcher. Another, consistent presence in political rallies, caucuses of, and continuous companionship with certain political candidates and or political parties, and political activities causing an employee to be closely identified with such candidate and or with political party. So, everyone, please be reminded with this word, consistent presence. Okay, consistent. Kung asa na kaniya certain na politiko or political parties, kung asa ang rally or caucus to apog ka gasunod-sunod po. Kung asa niya politiko to apog ka gasunod-sunod. So, ang importante is consistent presence. So, if there's consistent presence in political parties or caucuses or continuous companionship, it can be identified or it can be identified as a political activity and hence a partisan political activity. So, pag consistent na ang presence, pero once lang na sila rally, then maminaw ka, okay na. Okay? So, take note with the word consistent. Consistent. Okay, not just once. Maybe, I think twice, really enough. Kulang pa man. For me lang. Pero not just once, but twice or thrice. So, kadaghan na ka nakita, consistent na imong presence, then it can be identified as a partisan political activity. Okay, next slide, please. Giving personal, financial, or other monetary contributions, supplies, equipment, and materials for the benefit of a candidate and or political party. Utilizing property, supplies, materials, and equipment of the government for political purposes, and any other circumstances that may be considered analogous with that of the aforementioned. Next slide, please. So the penalty, okay, what would be the So the penalty for first offense would be 1 month and 1 day to 6 months suspension, and the second offense would be dismissal from service. Okay. Under Resolution 10695, February 10, 2021, in the matter prescribing the calendar of activities and periods of certain prohibited acts in connection with the May 9, 2022 national and local elections. Okay, next. So pursuant to the powers vested in the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, the Omnibus Election Code, Batasang Pambansa bilang 881, Republic Acts number 6646, 7166, 8189, 8436, 9189, 9369, 10756, and other election laws, the COMELEC resolved to prescribe the following calendar of activities and periods of prohibited acts in connection with the May 9, 2022 national and local elections. So, these are the calendar of activities and periods for the prohibited acts. Next slide, please. May 9, 2021, that is Sunday to August 7, 2022, Sunday. So it is prohibited to transfer, to promote, extend, or recall, or otherwise move any officer or member of the Foreign Service Corps from the current post or position, as provided in the Overseas Voting Act of 2013, Section 35. Okay, next. During election period, January 9, 2022 to June 8, 2022. So, what are the prohibited acts? 1, alteration of territory of a precinct or establishment of a new precinct. So bawal na ang mo-alter of precinct or mo-establish of new precinct from January 9 to June 8, 2022. Another, the transfer or movement of officers and employees in the civil service. So that is provided under Section 261, Paragraph H of the Omnibus Election Code. Okay, next. Bearing, carrying. So Section 2, RA 766. Use of security personnel or bodyguards by candidate unless authorized in writing by the COMELEC. So generally, the bearing, the carrying, transporting of firearms and other deadly weapons, or the use of security personnel or bodyguards by a candidate, these are prohibited acts. However, pwede lang siya kung na-ay written authority from the COMELEC. Okay, next slide, please. Organization or maintenance of reaction forces, strike forces, or other similar forces, and suspension of elective local officials. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, campaigning on April 14, 2022, Thursday. So this is the Holy Week. And April 15, 2022, Good Friday. So bawal ang campaigning on April 14, 2022, that is Thursday, and April 15, 2022, that is Good Friday. So Holy Thursday and Good Friday, it is prohibited to make political campaigns. Another, from February 8, 2022 to May 9, 2022, it's prohibited to give donations or gift in cash or in kind. Okay, next. From February 8, 2022 to May 9, 2022, appointment or use of special policemen, confidential agents, and the like, it is prohibited. And March 10, 2022 to June 8, 2022, it is prohibited the illegal release of prisoners. Yeah. Next slide, please. March 25 to May 8, 2022, it is prohibited to appoint or hire new employees, creation or filling up of new positions, promotion or giving of salary increases, remuneration, or privileges. Okay, question. How about teachers sa inyo government teachers? How about teachers? Can teachers be appointed despite the election ban?
Exempted, ma'am. Exempted from that provision.
Okay, so exempted. Okay, under there is a notice from the law department. So memorandum order number 21-7634. So recommendation or request for granting of continuing authority to appoint, hire new employees and transfer or detail of personnel in the Department of Education during the election period of 2022 national and local elections. So there is a continuing authority from COMELEC to DepEd to appoint, hire new employees and transfer or detail DepEd personnel during the election period. So, however, there are conditions. However, na ay mga conditions. So, one of these conditions that the authorization shall be limited to orders to appoint, hire new employees and transfer or detail of the DepEd officers and employees signed and issued by the Secretary Leonor M. Briones. That the appointment, hiring, or transfer detail is essential to the proper functioning of office and shall not in any manner influence the conduct of the May 9, 2022 elections. And that the same shall not involve promotion or giving of any increase of salary, remuneration, or privilege, which is strictly prohibited during the 45-day period before the May 9, 2022 elections without any exception whatsoever. that the authorization shall be prospective in application and without prejudice to the applicable civil service law, rules, and regulations, and that the proper notices prescribed and required under Section 29 of Comelec Resolution 10742 shall be promptly sent to the Comelec through its law department. So for the public school teachers, there is a continuing authority to hire, appoint new employees, and even transfer or detail DepEd personnel. Okay, next slide, please. So from March 25, 2022 to May 8, 2020, Public Works and issuance of treasury warrant or similar devices for future undertaking chargeable against public funds. And it is also prohibited the release, disbursement, or expenditures of public funds. However, these prohibitions may be exempted if there is a written authority of exemption from the Comelec. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, from April 10, 2022, that is Sunday, to May 9, 2022, Monday, that is election day. So casting of votes by overseas voters. This is the casting of votes of overseas voters under Section 16.1 RA 9189 as amended by RA 10590. Okay, another prohibition, campaigning abroad. Section 22 RA 10590 within the Philippine embassies, consulates, and other posts where overseas voters may exercise the right to vote pursuant to the overseas absentee voting system. Okay, next slide, please. Eve of election day. So that is May 8, 2022, Sunday. So campaigning is prohibited. Selling, furnishing, offering, buying, serving, or taking intoxication liquor. So bawal na mamaligya or ma-furnish or ma-offer or buy or even mo-serve or mo-take o alcoholic drinks, intoxication liquor. Another, giving, accepting free transportation, food or drinks or things of value. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, under Section 89 of Batasang Pambansa Bilang 881, it provides that it shall be unlawful for any candidate, political party, organization, or any person to give or accept free of charge, directly or indirectly, transportation, food or drinks or things of value during the 5 hours before and after a public meeting on the day preceding the election and on the day of the election, or to give or contribute directly or indirectly money or things of value for such purpose. Okay, next slide, please. Monday. So what are the prohibitions? Okay, of course, prohibited na ang campaigning. Another, selling, furnishing, offering, buying, serving, or taking intoxication liquor. So, dili lang during the eve before election day, but also during, of course, during election day. It's prohibited. Another, giving, accepting free transportation, food or drinks or things of value. And it is prohibited to vote more than once in substance of another. Bawal, no? Nakabuti na musab ka para sa lain. So, it is prohibited. Next slide, please. Okay, it is prohibited to solicit votes or undertake any propaganda for or against candidates or any political party within the polling place of within 30 meters thereof. So, bawal na mag-solicit of votes or undertaking within the 30 meters thereof. Another, opening of booths or stalls for the sale, etc. of merchandise or refreshments within a radius of 30 meters from the polling place. Bawal. Holding of fairs, cockfights, o sabong, bawal. Boxing, horse races, or any other similar sport. This is it. Dahil naka-on na mic. Naka-on na mic. Okay, so next slide please. Okay. Under Resolution 1071, March 10, 2021, I know one. Ma'am Eliane Joy. Okay, mute na lang, no? Mute siya. Okay, namit. Okay, sige. Okay, let's proceed. Resolution 1071, March 10, 2021. It provides the implementing guidelines on the provision and transfer, promotion, extension, or recall of officers or members of the Foreign Service Corps in relation to May 9, 2022 national and local election. Okay, next slide, please. Of mission, career ministers, foreign service officers, foreign service staff officers, foreign service staff employees of the DFA, or assigned to serve in posts abroad and in the home office, as well as regular and service attaches from other Philippine government agency. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, what do you mean by promotion? So this refers to the advancement of career employee from one position to another with increase in duties and responsibilities as authorized by law and usually accompanied with increase in salary. So promotion may be from one department or agency to another, or from one organizational unit to another within the same office. Okay, recall. How about recall? This refers to the return of officers or employees on assignment abroad back to the home office. So that's recall. Next slide, please. Transfer. So transfer, this is the movement of an employee from one position to another. So this is just a movement of an employee from one position to another, or from one organizational unit to another in the same department or agency, or from one department or agency to another. This may also refer to the movement of personnel from one post to another, pursuant to the DFA rotation plan as provided Section 38 of the Philippine Foreign Service Act of 1991. Okay, next slide, please. So Section 2, prohibited acts and the duration of the prohibitions. So this for the overseas. Okay, prohibited acts. So for any public officer employee to cause the transfer, promotion, extension, recall of any member of the Foreign Service Corps, including members of the attached agencies, otherwise cause the movement of any such member from current post or position. So from May 9, 2021 to August 7, 2022. So this is for the Foreign Service Corps. Okay. From March 25, 2022 to May 8, 2022, any head, official, appointing officer of government office, agencies, or municipality, whether national or creates and fills any position. So it is written. Another, from March 25 to May 8, 2022, any government official who promotes or gives an increase or remuneration or privilege to any government official employee, including those in GOCCs. And from January 9, 2022 to, naputol siya. Okay, that is January 9. Okay. From January 9, 2022 to June 8, 2022, so any public official who makes or causes any transfer or detail, whatever, of any officer employee in the civil service, including public school teachers. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, other exemptions to prohibited acts. So under Section 3, provides that in recognition of the varying circumstances necessitating the movements of personnel to address the exigencies of public service, government agencies may submit written requests to the COMELEC for approval of human resource actions or personnel movements falling within the prohibited acts described in Section 2. So like the DepEd, so the DepEd, Department of Education, asked for the exemption. So the DepEd was granted with continuing authority for the May 9, 2022 national and local elections. Okay, next slide, please. So penalties, the penalties imposed under Section 264 of the Omnibus Election Code as amended shall be imposed on any person found guilty of committing Section 36.6 of Overseas Voting Act of 2013, which is imprisonment of not less than 1 year but not more than 6 years and shall not be subject to probation. So this cannot be subject to probation. In addition, the guilty party shall be sentenced to so it shall be sentenced to suffer perpetual disqualification to hold public office and deprivation of the right of suffrage. So you cannot vote and be voted upon. Okay, next slide, please. As provided in the Omnibus Election Code, Section 261. So under Article Section 262, other election offenses, we have violation of the provisions or pertinent portions of the following sections of the Omnibus Election Code, which constitute election offenses. So what are these election offenses? So it is provided under Section 262. Okay. Next slide, please. So what are these prohibited acts under Section 261 for a person to be guilty of an election offense? So number 1, so we have the vote buying and vote selling. So what is this vote buying and vote selling? So any person who gives, offers, or promises money or anything of value, gives or promises any office or employment, franchise or grant, public or private, or makes or offers to make an expenditure directly or indirectly, or cause an expenditure to be made to any person, association, corporation, entity, or community in order to induce anyone or the public in general to vote for or against any candidate or withhold his vote in the election, or to vote for or against any aspirant for the nomination or choice of a candidate in a convention or similar selection process of a political party. So that is vote buying and vote selling. So if you will ask someone, you give or offer or promise money or anything of value to other person, even if that's just a promise ba to vote or not to vote against a person or again to vote or not to vote against a political party or against a political candidate, or even asking someone to withhold his vote in the election, they can be guilty for vote buying and vote selling. Okay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, conspiracy to bribe voters. So 2 or more persons, whether candidates or not, who come to an agreement concerning the commission of any violation of paragraph A of vote buying and vote selling of this section and decide to vote selling if they committed conspiracy to bribe voters.
Hi.
Okay, another, wagering upon result of election. Okay, any person who bets or wagers upon the outcome
Apili ni day okay nalagom ni.
Okay, so wagering upon result of election, so any person who bets or wagers upon the outcome of or any contingency connected with an election. So any money or thing of value or deposit of money or thing of value situated anywhere in the Philippines put as such bet or wagers shall be forfeited to the government. So naibano nga kanang sugarol jud kay ba magpusta anay okay kasi mo kadaog sikuan. So it is an election offense. Okay, next slide, please. Coercion of subordinates. So any public officer or any officer of any public or private corporation or association or any head, superior, administrator of any religious organization or any employer or landowner who coerces or intimidates or compels or in any manner influence directly or indirectly any of his subordinates or members or parishioners or employees or house helpers, tenants, overseers, farm helpers, tillers, or leaseholders to aid, campaign, or vote for or against any candidate or any aspirant for the nomination or selection of candidates. So this is an election offense. So, kita naabatay house helpers, or naabatay farm helpers, or subordinates, or natay negosyo, then natay employees. It is an election offense, no? If we commit coercion to our subordinates in order to vote or not to vote for or against a certain candidate or to withhold their votes. So, we can be guilty for election offense. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, threats, intimidation, terrorism, use of fraudulent device or other forms of coercion. So any person who directly or indirectly threatens, intimidates, or actually causes, inflicts, or produces any violence, injury, punishment, damage, loss of his family, his honor or property, or uses any fraudulent device or scheme to compel or induce the registration or refraining from registration of any voter, or the participation in a campaign, or refraining or desistance from any campaign, or the casting of any vote or omission to vote, or any promise of such registration, campaign, vote, or omission therefrom. So you can be guilty for an election offense. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Coercion of election officials and employees. So any person who directly or indirectly threatens, intimidates, terrorizes, or coerces any election official or employee in the performance of his election functions or duties shall be guilty for election offense. So, di ba, mag-serve man mo, you are all public teachers, and I think maybe all or most of you are serving for the May 9, 2022 national local elections. So, while mag-serve mo sa precinct, then naabay portion or naay group or individuals that will coerce you or threaten you, directly or indirectly intimidates or terrorizes or coerce you as a public school teachers and as employee of the government who are in the performance for your election functions and duties. So those persons, individuals or groups shall be liable for election offense. So it's a criminal offense. Okay. So you as public school teachers, just know your rights. So know your rights, your powers, and authorities during the election. So you have powers, you have rights, and you have authority. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, appointment of new employees, creation of new position, promotion, or duty increases during the period of 45 days before a regular election and 30 days before a special election. So this can be election offense. Okay, next slide, please. So any head official or appointee, whether provisional, temporary, casual, or creates and fills in any new position, except upon prior authority of the COMELEC. So the Commission shall not grant authority sought unless it is satisfied that the position to be filled is essential to the proper functioning of the office or agency concerned, and that the position shall not be filled in a manner that may influence the election. Okay, next slide. Okay, as an exception to the foregoing provisions, a new employee may be appointed in case of urgent need, provided, however, that notice of appointment shall be given to the Commission within 3 days or date of the appointment. So any appointment or hiring violation of this provision shall be null and void. So in violation of this provision, so any appointment made or hiring shall be null and void. Okay, now quick question. How about job order? Can we hire job order? Can the government hire job orders? Are job order employees or job orders included under this provision, under this prohibition? So na may mga job order, di ba? So, are they included in this prohibition? Are persons under job order contract? Are they included in the prohibition? Nine answer from Julie Thomas to everyone. I think that's ma'am.
Yes, madam, they are included, I think.
Okay. Yes. So the answer is, what do you think? No.
Yes.
So job order. Okay. Job order employees. The hiring of job order persons under job order contracts, because strict or in technical sense, job order are not considered as employees. There is no employer-employee relationship under the civil service rules. For job person under job order contract, under the civil service rules, technically they are not employees of the government, because there is no employer-employer relationship if you are under job order contract. But sometimes no atong ginagamit job order employee. So mura siya confusing. But under the civil service rules, there is no there is no employer-employer relationship for persons under job order contract. So kanang sa mga LGUs nato or national governments, pag naka-job order contract ka, you are not, it is not considered that you are under government service. Okay? So job order, those persons under job order contracts are not included in the prohibition, in the election ban prohibition for appointment. Okay? Sometimes, so they are not included. However, if you will hire job order employees, the COMELEC resolution has provided that at least the COMELEC shall be informed. Prohibition. Okay. Okay, next, any government official who promotes or gives any increase of salary or remuneration or privilege to any government official employee, including those in government-owned or controlled corporation. Okay, it's an election offense. Okay, next, slide please. Transfer of officers and employees in the civil service. Okay. Any public official who makes or causes any transfer or detail whatever of any officer employing the civil service, including public school teachers, within the election period, except upon prior approval of done. So whether hire, promote, transfer, but there must be written approval from the COMELEC. Okay, next slide, please. Intervention of public officers and employees. So any officer or employee in the civil service, except those holding political offices, any officer, employee, or member of the AFP or any police force, special forces, home defense forces, barangay self-defense units na ng mga tanod, and all other paramilitary units that now exist or which may hereafter be organized, who directly or indirectly intervenes in any election campaign or engages in any partisan political activity, except to vote or to preserve public order if he is a peace officer. Otherwise, that public officer or employees, even ka ng mga barangay tanod, if mo intervene sa election, except lang to vote or to preserve public order, they may be guilty for election offense. Okay, next slide please. Undue influence. So it is unlawful for any person to promise any office or employment, public or private, or to make or offer to make an expenditure directly or indirectly, or to cause an expenditure to be made to any person, association, corporation, or entity which may induce anyone or the public in general either to vote or withhold his vote, or to vote for or against any candidate in any election, or any aspirant, or any person, association, corporation, or community to solicit or receive directly or indirectly any expenditure or promise or any office or employment of public or private for any foregoing considerations. Otherwise, you can be guilty for election offense. Okay, next slide please. Okay, unlawful electioneering. It is unlawful to solicit votes or undertake any propaganda on the day of registration, before the Board of Election Inspectors. And on the day of election, for or against any candidate or any political party within the polling place and with a radius of 30 meters thereof. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. Prohibition against dismissal of employees, laborers, or tenants. So no employee or laborer shall be dismissed, nor a tenant be ejected from his land holdings for refusing or failing to vote for any candidate of his employer or landowner. So any employee, laborer, or tenant so dismissed or ejected shall be reinstated, and the salary or wage of the employee or laborer or the share of the harvest of the tenant shall be restored to the aggrieved party upon application to the proper court. Okay, so kanabang ang imong empleyado, ikaw, you're supporting for a certain candidate, and you have a business and you have employees, or you have house helper, or you are a landowner, then aking mga tenants, and they refuse sila, hibalaan mo, yun sa nimo pagkahibalo, nga wala sila ni vote, or ni-vote sila sa di mo ganahan yung kandidato, and you dismiss that employee. So, any employee, labor, or tenant, they are dismissed or the tenant is ejected, so they shall be reinstated, and the salary or wage of employer. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, appointment or use of special policemen, special agents. Okay, appointment or use of special policemen. Okay, appointment or use of special policemen, special agents, confidential agents, or the like. So during the campaign period, on the day before and on election day, any appointing authority, any appointing authority who appoints or any person who utilizes the services of special policemen, special agents, confidential agents, or persons performing similar functions, persons previously appointed as special policemen, special agents, confidential agents, or persons performing similar functions to continue acting as such, and those who fail to turn over their firearms, uniforms, insignias, and other badges of authority to the proper officer who issued the same. So it's an election offense. So during the election period, di ba ka ng mga pusil sa police, di ba sa ito makita sa TV, ipang ilaang pang kuanon, ilaang pangbutangan old tape, para maklaro jud kinay uban na ay magpabutor sa inana. Okay, so next slide please. Okay, at the start of the aforementioned period, the barangay chairman, municipal mayor, the city mayor, the provincial governor, or any appointing authority shall submit to the COMELEC or commission a complete list of all special policemen, special agents, confidential agents, or figures as the COMELEC may require. Okay, next slide please. Okay, next slide. Okay. Illegal release of prisoners before and after election. So the director of Bureau of Prisons, any provincial warden, the keeper of the jail, or the person or persons required by law to keep prisoners in their custody who illegally orders or allows any prisoner detained in the National Penitentiary or the provincial city or municipal jail to leave the premises thereof 60 days before and 30 days after the election. So the municipal or city warden, the provincial warden, the keeper of the jail, or the person or persons required by law to keep prisoners in their custody shall post in 3 conspicuous public places a list of the prisoners or detention prisoners under their care. So detention prisoner must be categorized as such. Okay, next. Next slide, please. Okay, use of public funds, money deposited in trust, equipment, facilities owned or controlled by the government for an election campaign. So any person who uses under any guise whatsoever, directly, indirectly, public funds or money deposited with or held in trust by public financing institutions or by government offices, banks or agencies, or using any printing press, radio or television station, or audio visual equipment operated by the government or by its divisions, subdivisions, agencies or instrumentalities, including GOCCs, or by the AFP, or any equipment, vehicle, facility, apparatus, or paraphernalia owned by the government or by its political subdivisions, agencies including GOCCs or by the AFP for any election campaign or for any partisan political activity. So this will constitute as an election offense. Okay. And can we have this 3 minutes or 5 minutes break para mo inom lang tag tubig or CR? Okay, mag-break na, sir.
Thank you, attorney.
Break sa takajot. CR, so there no mag-CR or inom ng water. Okay, thank you.
Bye, Ni. Bye-bye.
5 minutes lang ha. Balik na dayon ta. Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. Balik na ba ang uban?
Yes, Tony.
Okay. Thank you. So, okay. Balik sa ta. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Okay, the use of deadly weapons. So any person who carries any deadly weapon in the own place and within a radius of 100 meters thereof during the days and hours fixed by law for the registration of voters in the polling place, voting, counting of votes, or preparation of the election returns. However, in cases of affray, turmoil, or disorder, any peace officer or public officer authorized by the commission to supervise the election is entitled to carry firearms or any other weapon for the purpose of preserving order and enforcing the law. So, police officers, peacekeeping officers, they are authorized by the commission to, if they are authorized by the commission to supervise the election, they're entitled to carry firearms for for preserving the peace and order and to enforce the law. Okay. Or place of business. So any person who, although possessing a permit to carry firearms, carries any firearms outside his residence or place of business during the election period, unless authorized in writing by the COMELEC, provided that motor vehicle, water, or aircraft shall not be considered a residence or place of business for extension hereof. So if you have a firearm and you have the license to possess that firearm, if you don't have a written authority from the COMELEC to carry that firearms outside your residence or place of business, if you don't have that written authority, then you can be guilty for an election offense. So this prohibition shall not apply to cashiers and disbursing officers while in the performance of their duties or to persons who by nature of their official duties. Okay. This prohibition shall not apply to cashiers and disbursing officers while in the performance of their duties or to persons who by nature of their official duties, profession, business, or occupation habitually carry large sums of money or valuables. Okay, next slide please.
Attorney.
Yes.
Gusto mo, attorney? Pwede mo tanong.
Ito po
Attorney.
naman.
Aba.
Okay.
Attorney.
Sige, pangutan na lang.
Attorney, kining about military or military, include naman ang mga police, parang they are not in
Officers.
and they are carrying firearms. So
So
they are
again, sir, they are
they are carrying firearms that they are not in duty. So hindi na pwede, attorney, di ba?
really not in duty.
Not in duty. Election period maganda.
Okay, election period. Kailangan man og authority permit ana sa COMELEC written authority.
Even military sa attorney, di ba?
Mao man ang gibutang sa COMELEC unless di ba for peacekeeping to preserve peace and order. So, pwede lang. Pero generally, anyone, even if you have a permit or license to carry firearms, you still need to have written authority from the COMELEC. You must obtain exemption from the COMELEC.
Okay, thank you, attorney. Clear.
Okay. So, asa na ta? Sure. Okay, next slide, please. Disbursement or expenditure of public funds. So, any public official or employee, including barangay officials and those GOCCs and their subsidiaries who during 45 days before regular election, 30 days before special election, releases, disburses, or expends any public funds. So, ang exception ani if na ay written authority from the COMELEC. Okay, next slide, please. any and all kinds of public works except the following. So, maintenance of existing and or completed public works project. So, generally, public works during election period, so bawal na ang construction of public works. However, there are exceptions. One, maintenance of existing and or completed public works project, provided that not more than the average number of laborers or employees already employed during the 6-month period immediately prior to the beginning of the 45-day period, so that is March 25, before election day shall be permitted to work during such time, provided further that no additional labor shall be employed for maintenance work within the said period of 45 days. So, ang exemption ani, so general public works during election, election period, so bawal na, it is prohibited. However, the exception could be maintenance of existing and or completed public works project. So under the COMELEC resolution, the government agency concerned shall submit list of that government projects or public works to the COMELEC to be granted for exemption. So, okay, next slide please. Work undertaken by contract through public bidding held or by negotiated contract awarded before the 45-day period before election, provided that work for the purpose of this section undertaken under the so-called TAKAY or PACTIO system shall not be considered as work contract. Okay, next slide please. Another exception, payment for usual cost of preparation for working drawings, specifications, bills of materials, estimates, and other procedures preparatory to actual construction, including the purchase of materials and equipment, and all incidental expenses for wages of watchmen and other laborers employed for such work in the central office and field storehouses before the beginning of such period, provided that the number of such laborers shall not be increased over the number hired with the project or projects per command. Okay, next slide, please. Emergency to the restoration of the damaged facility. So no payment shall be made within the 5 days before the date of election to laborers who have rendered services in projects or works, except those falling under the subparagraphs A, B, C, and D of this paragraph. Okay, next slide, please. So this prohibition shall not apply to ongoing public works projects commenced before the campaign period or similar projects under foreign agreements. So for purposes of this provision, it shall be the duty of the government officials or agencies concerned to report to the COMELEC the list of all such projects being undertaken by them. So government agencies, local government units, mag-submit na sila o list kung unsa kayo ni mga projects or disbursements or mga programs to be exempted by the COMELEC. Okay, next slide please. Okay, the Ministry of Social Services and Development and any other office in other ministries of the government performing functions similar to ministry, so ano mga DSWD, so exempt for salaries of personnel and for such other routine and normal expenses and for such other expenses as the Commission may authorize after due notice and hearing. So should a calamity or disaster occur, all releases normally or usually coursed through the said ministries, example the SWD, and offices matters shall be turned over to and administered and disbursed by kinsa na mo kuan, kinsa na mo administer mo disburse ang Philippine National Red Cross, subject to the supervision of the Commission and Audit or its representatives, and no candidate or his or her spouse or member of his family, okay, take note, within second civil degree of affinity or consanguinity. Kung sa man ang second civil degree, for example, politician na, first degree niya, iyang papa. Okay, ano man saka, so ascending ta, so first degree, parents. Second degree niya, grandparents. So, tamang sa grandparents for ascending. Okay, so descending, anak. So, first degree man nimo ng anak. So, for example, ikaw, kana imong anak, first degree na nimo. Second degree, imong apo. So, taman sa apo. So, bawal, okay, it is prohibited, no candidate, or his or her spouse, or member of his family within the second civil degree. So, pwede ang igagaw. Tama naman second degree ang prohibition. So, pwede bang dito ang igagaw. So, kutahan directly and indirectly in distribution of any relief or other goods to the victims of calamity or disaster. So, mura naman good na siya solicitation of votes. So, mo na siya rationally why this is included in the set of prohibitions under the Omnibus Election Code. Okay, next slide, please. So the Ministry of Human Settlements and any other office and any other ministry of the government performing functions similar to said ministry, except for salaries and person for such other necessary administrative or other expenses as the Commission may authorize after due notice and hearing. Okay, next slide, please. Prohibition against construction of public works, delivery of materials for public works, and issuance of treasury warrants and similar devices. So during the period of 45 days preceding a regular election and 30 days before a special election, any person who undertakes the construction of any public works, except for projects or works exempted in the preceding paragraph, or issues, uses, or avails of treasury warrants, or any devices, or any device undertaking future delivery of money, goods, or other things of value chargeable against public funds. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, suspension of elective provincial, city, municipal, or barangay officer. So the provisions of law to the contrary notwithstanding during the election period. So any public official, okay, who suspend without prior approval of the commission, meaning the COMELEC, any elective provincial, city, municipal, or barangay officer, and said suspension will be for purposes of applying the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act in relation to suspension and removal of elected officials, so in which case the provisions of this section shall be inapplicable. So during the election period, it is prohibited to suspend public officials. So any without prior approval of the COMELEC, except lang kung an exemption under this provision. So next slide, please. Okay, section 263, who are persons criminally liable to the principals, the accomplices, and accessories as defined in the revised penal code shall be criminally liable for election offenses. So if you are the principal actor, ikaw should minungunay o example vote buying or vote selling, or you have an accomplice and accessories, so they can also be held liable, criminally liable. So if the one responsible be a political party or an entity, it's the president or head, the officials and the employees of the same performing duties connected to the offense committed and its members, who may be principals, accomplices, or accessories, shall be liable in addition to the liability of such party or entity. Okay, next slide, please. So what are the penalties? So any person found guilty of election offense under this code shall be punished with imprisonment of not less than 1 year, but not more than 6 years. So mapriso ka usa ka tuig, pero dili more than dili mula pa sa unong katuig, and shall not be subject to probation. Di ka ka-apply for probation. In addition, the guilty party shall be sentenced to suffer disqualification to hold public office and deprivation of the right of suffrage. So you cannot vote, you can no longer vote, and you cannot be voted upon.
Di din yung mga taklob lang. Pantog di mo kaigo.
Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, prescription. By prescriptive period, yes, 5 years from the commission of offense. So who has the jurisdiction? The regional trial court, except those relating to the offense of failure to register or failure to vote, which shall be under the jurisdiction of the metropolitan or the municipal trial court. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Prosecution. Okay. Section 265. Okay, slide ako lang to. Okay, the commission shall through its duly authorized legal officers have the exclusive power to conduct preliminary investigation of all election offenses punishable under this code, meaning the Omnibus Election Code, and to prosecute the same. So it is the authorized legal officers of the COMELEC, so naman sa legal division. So the commission may avail of the assistance of other prosecuting arms of the government, like the prosecutor's office, provided, however, that in the event that the commission fails to act on any complaint within 4 months from his filing the complainant may file the complaint with the Office of the Fiscal or with the Ministry of Justice for proper investigation and prosecution if warranted. So generally, you should file it before the COMELEC legal department. If the COMELEC fails to act within 4 months from your filing, then you as a complainant, you may file your complaint before the prosecutor's office for investigation and prosecution if warranted. So kailangan ko press sa next flag. Ano pa kung nasa na... okay. So many. Okay. So, next slide. Thank you. Okay.
Attorney, thank
Thank
you.
you, and God bless us all. So, do you have questions?
Okay, gamay na attorney, na po question gamay for the
Wala, di ay.
Hello, attorney.
Okay, go. Yung question. Kinsa ko na question?
Siya na attorney, si Silvio siya.
Okay. Sige, sir. Sa atong pangutana, sir.
Attorney, so, pina to kaligayan attorney, para sa akong pamilya, akong wife, attorney, is,
Okay.
okay na attorney nga, yapunan ko attorney, nga, amita po siya.
Kasi mo pasabot nga na-involve ulit lansar siya?
Kaya may kag-leader, nag-leader siya sa political ba, ano na ba? Or siya may nag-gather ng mga tao, ganun ba?
Okay.
Ako nga sa suban nga, narap ako sa government ba?
Okay naman po. Pero, di ka manghihilabot dapat.
Yes, sir.
Kaya it may be used against you.
Okay lang. Okay, amahala. Kaya sa ako, dahil ang buwan ko kay
Ayaw, Jod. Partial yun ka kay gobyerno yun kay na pwede ta ma-administratively liable, pwede po ta ma-criminally liable for election offense.
Siyempre, okay na po pa na eh. Doon na po siya yung
Okay
trabaho.
na ka. Ang sa siya trabaho, ang sa siya, di ba private individual naman siya?
Yes, sir.
Okay lang. Okay naman. Okay na siya, pero pero kada ingon na bitaw, it can be used against you to question your partiality, your impartiality conduct of election, no? So ingon na ayaw jud neutral jud ka, ayaw jud og ingon ana. So if mag-serve kag election, sir, like DEI,
sa attorney, na ako. Appeal ko. Appeal ko, attorney.
Appeal ka, no? Lagi. Ang imong asawa kayo sa ba? Leader? Like ka ng...
Panatod na. Nasa mga kandidato. Yes, attorney.
O yung anak man na BEI. So, kana, ikuha lang yun kay, it can be used against you to question your impartiality and neutrality sa conduct of election. Anak lang. Ina lang po imong asawa, hinay lang po kayo. Ay lang po kayo o palabi o kuan. Okay. Isod manggod ka ayo no, nga ikaw, ga-serve ka, manggod, BEI, manggod. Serve ka sa election ka na bang, bisag neutral ra ka, himuan ka o dili mo salit ang uban mo. So, yung anak lang.
Attorney, ano ba na attorney ato yung mga silingan, ang mga sinasina, alam mo na. Wala po sa
Tinuod jud na. Di jud na malikayan. Tinuod jud na siya. Wala jud na reality in life.
Pero wala ko huwag yun ang ilabot sa kamay, wag mo nagkuha na. Yung nabisa nga,
Ayaw yun.
kung kasama ko nga, kaya ng trabaho doon na wala ko yung
So,
inig.
anak.
Basta bitaw na,
Yun.
ilang mo ng poster ko noon. Nga akong nagkuha din na pwede na kay
Kung saan ka, chairman? Chairman, dili report. Chairman ka. Alam no? Noon, wala mo po ini-questionin mo. Hindi naman. Basta anak, kuan lang yun. Inga lang yun yung asawa nga. Ayaw rapod kayo. Palabi rapod kayo.
Wala siya apil na, wala mo siya apil ng, siya campaign, wala mo siya apil.
Wala na. Okay na. Okay na na kanandili lang bitaw. Public.
Okay ko, yes.
Na may sa akong naibalaan na ba yung mga kanang leader sa kada household. Anak lang siya.
Kay na panawin sa mga barangay sa puro kay siyang gilado kayo so siya gidoon sa sosyal. So kilabot kay siya wala siya trabaho po sa gidoon ako like wa. Ako asa father of the family so ang tama ko yung pamilya so siya po para po siya siguro sa about na anak or so ako sa giveaway ko about that things po.
Okay naman lagi. Kana lang, it can be used against you lang sa imo ang kuan sa neutrality ba? Nga na, di man siya na malikaya na to, di ba? Mawala siya. Naday tayo mga silingan nga, mga CCTV, Marites.
Marites.
Ingon ana. So, kana siya, it can be used against you. Pero ana lang yun, remain lang dyan ka sa imo ang neutrality. Dyan ka mo engage ng mga participant, political activities. Ana lang. Para, kung ano lang dyan ka, okay, welcome, likay lang yun. Likay ka na. Ayaw dyan yung kuhan.
At least, para nakagigat
ana lang. Kaya niya, yung anak man siya na namantay dagang mga silingan, namumid na yung mga storya. So, dili lang yun, kaayo bitaw nga lantaran, anak. Okay. Anak lang ba? Ma-question lang ato neutrality as BEI. Okay. Anak lang, sir. Okay. So, next question. Laing pangutana.
Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning. Kinsa na ni?
Mr. Ricardo Abel, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, sir. Good morning.
I-clarify ni mo, ma'am, regarding sa... i-clarify ni mo, ma'am, bahin sa regarding sa kining hiring of contractual. Are we still allowed to hire contractual during this election period?
Contractual, sa imo ang gimin anang contractual, sir?
Contractual employee, doon na may, nagtabo ng nanay mong god. Doon na may mong office na may allocation na pulo ka kuhan. Dahil ang isa nag-resign. Ang isa
maestra?
Dili, wala contractual workers.
Bisag unsa personnel, DepEd personnel.
Government.
Maestra ka, sir? Opisina.
Dinar po, ma'am.
Dili din yung mga maestro tanan?
Dili. Kuhan ko, kanang estudyante kaya po ko.
Pero di ka public school teacher, sir.
Ako i-clarify the kining
Prohibition.
kaya ang usam gud sa among supposedly na may target for the whole year
PNR, no?
10. So ang usa nag-decide for personal purpose siguro sa akong opportunity lain. Ngayon, pas mong may to hire anak nga number.
Why?
Safety ba sa mo safety ba may nga mo hire og another in lieu or in replacement of anak nga kuan.
Required yun mo, sir. Ang
Yes.
hire.
Yes, ma'am.
Ano man siya, sir? Under the Prohibited Act, the Omnibus Election Code, and COMELEC Resolution number 10742 for this year's election, sir, May 9, 2022 national and local elections, resolution number 10742 of the COMELEC, it provides the Prohibited Acts, sir. So who are these? So during the period of appointing officer of government office, agency. So kaya sa DNR ka, sir, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, whether national, asa ka ang DNR, sir?
Asa Senro, Manukan.
Okay, Senator Manukan. Okay. Whether provisional, okay, or any agency of the government, so like DNR, who appoints or hires any new employee, whether provisional, so bahala provisional, temporary, casual, so whether provisional, sir, temporary, or casual.
Yes. Casual.
Or create and fills any new position. It is prohibited, sir, under the, it is one of the prohibited acts. Except lang, sir, except kung na ay prior written authority from the COMELEC. So, pwede na mo appoint, pero ngayo mong authority sa COMELEC.
Pwede ra local, ma'am. Local, Comelec or national yun.
Hindi mo pasa sa local, kay ilang, sila man din mo forward sa national. Pero sir, ang appointment ninyo, di ba dili man ka mo tig-appoint? Ang secretary, dili mo appoint?
Not necessary, ma'am. Kay
Sir, head lang ang
contract
sendro.
naman, contract.
So na ay authority ang sendro, di ay mo hire.
Ang Penro.
Ang sendro. So dili mo sa provincial COMELEC, pero ang provincial COMELEC, ilaragyan po na ipasa sa national.
So, meaning we cannot hire immediately without prior approval.
Authority sa COMELEC.
Authority.
Kailangan dyan siya. So, the commission shall not grant authority sought unless it is satisfied that position to be essential. So, inyo pong i-prove nga nung necessary yun nga inyo dun yung i-fill ng position.
Yes, ma'am. Ayun, pwede rin, ma'am, additional lang. Pero sa aman mag-end ang atuang kuan, ang period sa kuan, election period.
May 8. Tagda na lang ninyo mo mag-election.
May 8, ma'am.
Hapit naman.
So after na, pwede na tayo immediately. Sige, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Para dili na lang mo mahasol. Tagad na lang. Hapit naman po.
What I think, ma'am, di ba ito 45 before and after, ma'am? Dili na?
Dili. 45 before the election.
45 before the election.
Then 30 days kung special election.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ma'am, question, ma'am. Mr. Postigo, ma'am.
Yes.
Morning, ma'am.
Sir Postigo, yes, maayong buntag.
Morning, ma'am. This is my problem concern. You explained a while ago that teachers are prohibited to give donations, or any individuals prohibited to give donations.
Not only teachers.
Not only any individuals, no? Because you are teachers. So during the
this type of election period, we are permitted to give cash or in kind or any donations to any individuals. So what if me or one of my family run for a local positions? So it happened that one of our relatives died, no, namatyan ba?
Ay.
Yun, kinahanglan mo yung tapong mutabang nila in any form of assistance. So, sabay po ato na naman, murag win-win solution lang ba? Magkatabang ka.
Ay, kung ano lang, lisod yun siya. Mura ka ganyan, support ako kang kandidato. Wala ko.
Sabi na karoon nga, mo-serve mo sa election.
O hala, ayaw na lang yun. Ay na lang yun. Magamit ganda against sa inyo Ay na lang. Pero, kung anong ni ha, for me lang, pwede rak ka mo tag, pero, dili, lisod po doon mo, advice ko nga, mukuan ani niya, naasta diri na ka on air.
Siguro mutabang, pero murag lahi lang sigurong tao gamiton.
Ala, dili po ko misuryan, kaya kahit po kayo rugikan ako. So, mayroon na lang sa ko, kailain po kayo, gikan ako.
Murag mas lain man yun noon, murag mas madaot man tayo noon sa atong pamilya. Kita mismo nila sa atin, huwag kita kahatag nila. Murag lain na po kami noon.
Kana mang gyud. Ana lang yun, sir. Kay, ang nauna ala pwede na ako ihatag advice, di na lang ko mo hatag. Lain man. Pero, I know, sir, kabalo na po ka sa bag ko. Sa iyong buhatong.
Yan, okay. Paano mo po, murag. Kinahanglan po po.
Pamili, anak yun, no? Mamili ka. Tama ka sa pamilya or ingana. Pero, nalala na ni mo, sir. Di na lang ko mag-storya.
Naamang ko tayo lang mga pamahagi noon na makatabang ta.
Gana. Depende, ay na lang.
Personally nga may mo ato dito.
Dili na lang yun, di na lang yun ito mag-history.
Picture niya ta?
Pwede yun ako mag-arkin. Serve pa yung pag-election. Likay na lang yun. Sige, okay, thank you. Okay, next question.
Good morning, ma'am. Attorney.
Morning. Yes.
Alam ko ay concern gamay ba? As teacher, kung ano sa teacher, dili mo sa mga attorney na ano ang datoy ko ba kibali ka na bitaw mag-serve sa eleksyon. Pwede ba nga mo balik?
Sa to? Pwede ta mo?
Ma-refuse na to ang operan ta nga mag-serve sa eleksyon as teacher.
Mo serve as teacher?
I-refuse. Kibali, i-refuse itong serve punta sa eleksyon dahil i-refuse na to. Pwede ba?
For me, voluntary lisod ko nang dili ka no dahil di na voluntary.
Okay.
For me,
Okay. Amo alam ko niya.
Di-orderan ka.
Kibali nga ni na to yung mga less sa mag-serve dayon ang uban daw atras dahil yung sa among head niya kuhan daw kiniyang iya kong gingnan nga gi-message ko niya din ako siyang ibalibaran dahil ingon siya nga sa supervisor lang daw may mubalibad.
Unsa mo na amoy memorandum?
Wala man po na receive attorney.
So unsa man din na walay order?
Wala po na receive.
List lang. Siguro naglista pa na kung inside willing.
Ang sa din hana naman dito less. Ang atras man daw ang uban. Gi-message ko sa among mo serve dahil balibad mo ko. Rabat.
Okay man ang uban gali ni balibad man. Kung kaniha wala pa'y order. For me, kung it's just a mere list lang of possible teachers who will serve the election or because the Board of Election Inspectors, list lang, hindi mo may subordination kung bili.
Salamat attorney. Concern.
Okay, so kung mere list lang, stakan doon na siya. Okay. Pero pag order na, mag-lisod na mo overfill. Okay, next question. Kisa pa na pangutana.
Attorney, Mr. Siano, balik attorney.
Oh, unsa man ato, sir? Okay.
Aba tong carry of firearms attorney.
Oh.
Diba? Attorney, naman ko yung ng military attorney.
Oh,
Dayon, attorney, nga while nilakaw sa other place, or kibali, tapad mga barangay, dayon, kulata sa attorney. Dayon, siyempre, ang naman ko na armas na sa pusil. So, nihuli siya, o gitna na yung armas, kay iyag yung tirahan ng tao.
Ano, buong na.
Oh. So, nihuli siya, kay di mo na pwede yung rinala dyan, ano, sumba.
Oh.
Yun, break man to niya, no? Wala mo siya sa duty.
Wala na, durable yun siya.
Ikuha niya yung armas, so iyang giyong gisalbahan. So, attorney, lagi siya offense na
Nakasad siya yung liability, bisan pa wala election ban.
di ba lagi siya,
Bisan pag wala election ban, nakasad siya yung liability.
oh yun.
Oh, di ba na in relation sa iya ang ba, personal na niya.
Pag-ibitaw, pero attorney, kaya mahal lang ko sa police, kada ko ba ito, attorney, kay
Kay?
nagagig investigation, nangayon bayad kay palungan sa nakalaw ng bago, nangayon bayad, nagibayaran lang pa na mo, kay paramid lang yun kay
Ang katong gisalbahan.
ang police ni anak, inis mo mo ni Kuan Midget.
Nangayong kwarta ang police or ang gisalbahan mo nangay kwarta.
Kung nangayon, din ang police, pwede Midget dito na mo, ang police mismo, nasa balay. Kung ibayaran, kung na kay basin niyo, katako, kay nagpulon.
Tinuon bitaw kani tinuon ni wala mahasol imo ang magulang kung maabot pag reklamo.
Pero katong police atong pagpato nga kumarta ra po to iya kay wa mong gitagi bagi ko opisina.
Ano nangayo di siya kwarta.
Nangayo gyud ya gid po song balay kita anak.
Kaya nangayo siya share ang police or ihatag to niya sa complainant.
Ay yata gyud ko bilang na to isa bay sabot kapon. Bali ana. Legit man siya.
Sure ka
Yes.
siya.
Sure kay
Na-share.
Kay napos. Dapat ipatawag niya sa opisina dito ang pagkatag sa kwarta o email ko. Pero kana
Naada po, bisan pa wala election ban.
binagog na natin lang. Natay mga sa military, natay ko, self-defense pa ba?
Isod manggod kaayo pag if you are in the government, especially you are a police officer or member of the Philippine Army, ingon ana, strict jud kayo ang kuan jud respect ano bitong pag-care sa firearms kay nabi sila sa advantage na dagkuan pa pinag mga pusil so inana.
So mukul lang ka person in duty no. Ana lang yun.
Kanang during election, kamo, BEI mo. Then nagbugot sa precinct. Pwede man ninyo pa tawag ang kanang police or kinsa ba na or kinsa nag-duty nga nag-preserve sa peace. Ipatawag para i-protect ang peace and order. I-preserve ang peace and order. So, dili kayo magtanaw na po ang police. So, namangod ka mo man DEI mo o na-ay power and authority during sa election day. Alam nga, nanay nag-layog diha. So, pwede na dayon ang police officer kamo magpatawag din sa police kaya na din sila ang mga police may authority doon.
Sige, attorney. Nangalaga na.
Okay. Welcome. Okay, napay question. Napay pangutana.
Attorney, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, attorney, verifications ng attorney. Let's say, for example, kami mga teachers, namin i-held nga symposiums or na mga seminars nila. So, invite to make other government agencies like, let's say, example, PNP, mag-discuss against the BAUSI. And then, karon, okay kayo, karon, election time, election period man karon, what if, siyempre, kanan na magkikailang nga mga nag-run sa election, naglansar. What if maingon sila, okay, sige, patod, stop ninyo dito, anak. Sa may ikon sa teachers, attorney, okay ra ba? Or Amo yung balibaran nga no need kay electioneering ni nana.
Of course, it's an election offense. However, kung na personal, sa politiko niya,
Parang litan lang attorney kanang naimaingon nga politiko nga nabalo man siya na nay si Potion dito or seminar sa ingon nga okay sige padala mi snaps diya so kaming teachers mo baliban tit mi nga no dili pwede kay kuan electioneering ni Ratay
kuan lang, for me lang,
or kuan mi sa election offense
kana akong pagtak sa mga tao. For me, okay man. Pero, sa inyo it can be used against you lang yun. Kaya mag-serve na po buong election. Kung kamo, inyo na lang yun, as much as possible, i-avoid na lang yun na inyo ng appearance of kanang partiality. Dapat inyo yung iprotektahan yung image ng mga extra o members sa EAI na neutral mo and partial. So, kung ano, patay, makabalo ang isa ka politikong siguro. Wala.
no
Kana,
So,
man kaayo.
balibaran na lang ka oy dili na pwede English ganahan sila kay kabalo biya ko ka attorney nga seminars ko na o yan naging tao na complete yun ihang lang kuan ba dili ang sa among side syempre tabang na kayo para sa teachers nga matabangan nga mapakaon mahinan but sa to save na election mo good
Oh, dahil official event pag yun na. Official. So, nalitod sa ayo. Ay nalang yun mo. Okay. Kaya nalitod sa kaayo.
so
Especially,
balibaran na lang attorney
balibaran na lang. For me ha, kamo mga maistra. Okay, mag-i-ay. Then, mga na tayo. Hala, na. Maabot mo mo dahil na kanang image ninyo pa makuhan bitaw. Murag maapektahan. Kaganag na na doon pa. Mga nana. Bitaw. Kabalo ba yan na ako? Kamo as teacher, public school teachers and serving measures as much as possible to prevent any incident that will affect your image or appearance.
okay sige thank you attorney
Kasi makabalo na isa po ka kasi ko na ay nalito na guys.
okay attorney thank you
Next question. Okay.
Kanang gusto na ko mami sa opinion regarding aning kami nga election attorney dayo mata makaingon nga kung ano kanang si tawagan direct na kuan ba pero dunay kaso diri sa amo na kanang sa nganan ng we are using murag obvious nga paminaw makita nga they are using DSWD para sa murag ikuan nila nga ang ang money ikuan sa mga tao using DSWD so murag nang sila o aid financial aid at ilang gititle ito para sa COVID-19 pero obvious kaayong activity in the sense na nga candidates to adito dayon simultaneous man to siya then ang mga tao gipangkana tag 1,000 as financial kuan kanang support sa COVID-19 kanang ang ako lang question ani
Wala lagi.
attorney is kuan ka ng ilang gitudluan ng mga tao sa pag-shading sa mga balita so unsa man siya
Sample ballot. Okay naman ang magtod.
at the same time po
Oo. Puputo lagi ka, ma'am. Ma-traffic ka, ma'am.
nang murag usa ka manggod party murag usap
Na-traffic, ma'am. Mawala-wala ka, ma'am.
using the DSWD.
Putol-putol gyud, ma'am. Wala na po. Wala na, ma'am. Wala na dunggan ang imo ang imo.
Sorry kaya turn na ng data kay brag lang ko kay using mo. Wait na lang.
Kuan po nila nimo i-type, ma'am. Ang imo
Sige, sige.
Okay.
Okay.
Kuan siya mo wala din. For the question of Ma'am Cleo. Okay, nailay pangutana. Ay, question.
Attorney,
Yes,
pwede,
sir.
pwede. Sure na.
Yes.
Diba? Asa ka nga office attorney nga? Kuan?
Ha?
Asa nga office na sa
Na,
work ba karon?
Provincial Legal Office.
Kay ano ginapan mo yung siguro po na attorney ba abot sa pulo ng na.
Oo.
Ah,
Oo. Sige, sir. Ato lang sa Provincial Legal Office.
thank you kay attorney kay.
Mga tagamig mga advices.
Lang kay. Ban mo kada mo attorney kay abot sa pulo.
Na, wabot ka sa mga bitina, mga bata ni dito daghan. So, mga tagami o mga legal advices. So, pwede na ka mo sir, sa Provincial Legal Office.
Thank you kay attorney. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Naapay lang pangutana, wala pa mong kasag si Ma'am Cleo. So, naapay pangutana. Naapay pangutana. Naapay pangutana. Mga ma'am, mga sir, naapay pangutana.
Wala si question attorney kay wala
Wala na.
clear na.
Kanina lang kang thank you. Kanina lang kang Ma'am Cleo. Is it okay na murag gamiton ang other government office or sector sa pagpakumpanya? Excuse me. Murag gamiton ang other government office? Katong sa imong giingon, Ma'am Cleo, no? Sa to imo ang kung kanina nga question ha, is it okay murag gamiton ng other government office or sector sa pamumunya? Of course, dili. Absolutely, dili na pwede. Diba? So, depende na din na siya sa circumstances. So, kung gihatag ni mo, Ma'am Cleo, putol-putol man ka, ito imong giingon nga ang DSWD, wala kayo ito na
Yes, attorney. Yes, attorney.
So, absolute yun ang answer ani, dili yun pwede. So, sa imo ang giingon, ito ganina, ang DSWD, mo ay nanghatag, DSWD, nanghatag o cash aid.
Murag gitro DSWD mo asa ako alam pa na interpretation attorney nga ako ay murag gitro.
Putol yun siya.
Hello, attorney. Good morning. Naunta ko yung may pangutana.
Affine or something like that pero
Sige, ma'am. Ma'am Cleo, putol-putol juga, ma'am. So, ato na lang kung ano na, based sa among nadungog na putol-putol, so, ang DSWD maoy gigamit or murag DSWD? Dayo nang hatag ng cash aid,
Ang DSWD, attorney.
maoy nang hatag.
Yes, attorney.
DSWD, dayon nang hatag og cash aid, dayon.
Dayon, ang tanang mga botante, gitagaan nila og tag 1,000. Then pagkahuman, mo shade lang din itong mga botante.
Dili dagway na DSWD. Dili pumutuo nga sa national government na nga kuan na abot anang ingon ana then mag-save.
Ang batang attorney kay na may kuan, na may
Dili na.
na may form sa DSWD ko attorney.
Save mag-shave? Maybe. Dili ko mo, or nila nga, di ko mo tuo nga, DSWD, jud to sila. Maybe, gigamit lang ang form sa DSWD. Pero I don't think, and I don't believe na ang DSWD, ingon ana, maabot anang campaign? Dili. For
Ano
me,
ko attorney?
siguro ang form, dagway sa DSWD, DSWD igamit in the guise nga nanghatag og cash aid na naikuan sa DSWD. Or I don't think nga ang DSWD may nanghatag. Dayon naa sa pagpangumpanya. Kaya nag-save makabalot. Sample.
Yes, attorney. Sa kada barangay, attorney, paano siya ng political strategy sa isa ka politician o powerful politician in our province? We will not mention name na attorney, basta he is a very powerful politician here in our
So,
province.
LGU, local government unit na siya. So, I don't think DSWD na kung local government na.
Pero kung dili mo DSWD attorney, pero for sure, ang fund coming from
Sa government.
government is attorney.
So, yun ana, government, yung fund. Ang uno kay cash aid man.
Yes, attorney.
Ayun.
And murag gisakyan na nila attorney ba sa pang-politiko, inana.
So, maybe lang yun ha. Okay, vague man ang tax na to. Maybe lang yun, ibutang tax sa DSWD to, okay, naaman yun na asa ang source of funds. So, for example, gikan sa national, di ba naman ay mga program ang national government, kaya sa bayanihan, manghatag ng mga cash aid, di ba ang dole, nanghatag man po, sa mga workers. So, maybe ang DSWD, maybe nakakaiwag sa kabalo. If maybe ang DSWD, legit yun ila ang nanghatag sila cash aid, COVID assistance. So, it is a legitimate siguro cash assistance for people na siguro sa COVID nga na, siguro legitimate yung kisakyan sa politika.
Attorney, kay kung may bawan ka, attorney, manggudre nga, for example, may bawan kang pikas ka, opposition ka, dili ka tagaan, dayo bang mga tao nga nato sa barangay hall, wala gid sila tagay because
Maybe.
They said nga wala kay dito ka sa pikas, kuan ka pala lang ka erase na ka dire.
So siguro ibutang lang ka ha. So example lang na example kay upunta ka ba mo pwede sabihin na
Dayon tanan pag attorney, either police ka o sa baka sa gobyerno ka tagaan. Basta kay kalinya nila.
Legitimate ba ka na? Sige, ibutang lang ta ha. Ibutang kay wa matakabalod sa actual nga fact. Ibutang lang ta legitimate sa assistance sa government. Hindi sa sa politika. Dili man gyud na pwede gyud nga mogamit kang funds sa government, diba? Naama na sa prohibition sa Omnibus Election Code. Di na mo pwede gamiton for advancing your political campaign. Should not be used for soliciting votes or for soliciting persons not to vote a certain political candidate or political party. Ibutang lang po nga hindi ito siya legitimate because sa national it needs to be appeared lang mura siya og kanang assistant niya personal nga kwarta. So hindi po na siya. Depende lang yun na dayon sa ebidensya na gihawidan mo man na siya. So ingon ana. Pero we know for a fact na di na siya pwede.
Yes.
Under sa Omnibus Election Code.
And ang nakapait pa na attorney kay they are using the barangay captains.
Yung anak mo na, no?
Bisag na ano tong buwan sa dapat na dili mo kuha na ta mga barangay captains karon pero
Saon man yung
nagiugan.
saon man yung ubang po mga kapitan, yung engagement sila o partisan, political activities. So, ikon anak. Wala siya. So, wala. What's the reality? Kaya natin, natin allegations mo na, ginanadayon ang ito na dayon, ang pag-prove na dayon nato. Ayun, serious kaayo. So, ingon ana.
We're going now?
So, mo na say
Lina.
harsh reality.
Thank you, attorney. Ang mga tao, may ingon naman guro attorney, okay ra, bahalag parakot, basta narang may nakita nga mga projects.
Pura. Mo man ay mindset good sa upan. O na ikaw.
Thank you, attorney.
Bye-bye.
Sa klaro na kaayo pa, obvious pa kay Latara na. Mo na siya. Mo na siya. That's life. Wala na tayo kuan ani.
Okay, powerful mo gud kay attorney eh.
Oh.
So nagayo, nakaugat na gid kayo.
Ingon ana na siya. So, depende kung naay mo stand. mutan ka, dapat imo akong proof is sufficient po to prove the guilt of the accused. So, election offense man na, kanti criminally held liable, so kailangan na put of proof. Mga na siya. But we know for a fact na prohibited siya.
Okay, thank you, attorney.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Oh. Gusto ko na
Actually, attorney, ang
Yes.
magod po mga teachers na naka-receive at tuog ka ng kuan, ka ng
para
money.
si food mo
So,
kwarta.
may ako ang question. Oo, kanan mga teacher, na akong concern karon kay since because we kuan magod attorney nga we using DSWD pero obviously teachers receive sa
Lagi. Kung ang kana, ang DSWD yun, iputang lang ka, ang DSWD yun, may nihatag, legit yun, nga DSWD, then para sa tanan, qualified food mo, nga teachers, nga mo daw atong 1,000, okay kay siya, pero kanang dili mo qualified, siguro na ba qualification, putang ta sa mga walay income, pero ana, di ka mo, gitagaan mo, mga isang sugo milapot, kana, di na siya mo magdudaan, ha? So, diba? May nga na. So, kamo nga teachers na observe ba mo sa election para ma-prevent na lang yun ang kanang ma-avoid ang kanang bitong appearance of partiality sa inyo mapitan yung image ba as a neutral. So, dili na lang. Pero kung qualified good mo nga mo dawat din, gobyerno ng hatag, appeal mo sa qualified, okay naman mo dawat. Gobyerno bitaw, exact kung pangitan personal sa kandidato, attention na, karo nakaayo. Ikay yun mo, ana. May magamit yun na aging sa inyo, Ana lang. Okay, ma'am? Kung,
thank you attorney.
Oh,
Actually naman na kuan na malipay ta kay natay ma-receive
Oh,
nga na pero
malipay,
dapat
true.
nag-play sa atong mind
na,
mga doubts na mga ingon ana
tingod, ay na nagdawat, uy.
clarify ka kay
Kanang yun, ana, na may doubt, ay na lang mo dawat din, 1,000 lang, dayon. Tingod, ana, ma-question inyo ang impartiality, ang neutral mo, yung credibility as a teacher and as a member of the board of
kasi
election
attorney
inspector. Ay na lang mo dawat kay 1,000 ang kapalit kay inyo ang kredibilidad. Nakitaon na inyo ng
Mami, ang
1,000.
attorney kayo. Actually, attorney, dili 1,000 na nga mo.
Naman.
Ang nahitabo is ang mga ibutan na to ang mga lumulupyo, tagaan sila o kag 1,000. Kami, mga teachers, actually, to be honest, naka-receive mi og 3,000. Mo na nga. Mo tong to ang ingon ana, kung DSWD dapat fair, patas, and then something.
Hindi pa hatag inyo ana.
Pero I do not know kung
So, kamu po, gano'n?
buok ko ang attorney, ang tagan, kanang mo lagi na attorney nga akong i-clarify kay ang ilaang gigamit man gud is ang DSWD jud. So we
Sana siya
kuan
ma-event.
ang naa dito sa ilaang title is COVID-19 Financial Assistance something ingon ana. Pero usa ni sila ka grupo kuan nga color inana something din na. So murag nakuan sa ko sa akong mind, although dili man siguro ako ra no ning tingog lang ko na ingon ana nga murag ako paminaw ba attorney is to make it legal, they legalize the say tawagan nila
Disbursement.
fix or para kuan siya malegalize siya murag they are using other agency munang ako ang paminaw sa ako amo nang nagkuan ko sa imong istorya
Ako may istorya gyud. Ambot lang wa ko kabalo sa kung unsay legality anang panghatag. But then it was just made to appear nga legal pero di siguro ana. Wala mo ko kabalo kung unsa yung nature anang assistant pero bawal kung karon nga election period bawal ginadis
Mura na lang.
authority sa COMELEC. Ana ambot wala siya questionable. Wala man kung kabalo bita nagid ng dokumento gihawidan anang sa authority and legality nga mga tag-uport sa sila. Ana, pero no? Sa tunay, mga event?
Lagi, muna akong ikuan attorney kay in case nga ingon ani bitaw nga they're using these WDs and not true to all over the Philippines, not only in San
Oh, dili ra. Nana jud.
Oo, kay kung
election.
pero kay murag ingon ani wala man day gali dihan ambos sa dipo.
Wala, wala ko kabalo mo na ana. Pero
May
ang
gali na
na kasi na ako wala ko kabalo pero ako na ibalaan wala may nang hatag masilingan wa may natagan diri o. Sa ko lang ibawaan ha kay bawal naman gani mag-disburse og funds. Wala authority sa COMELEC. Exact lang ana mga returnary lang. So kana ambot. Batin in dila naman dayon. Pero naman po, ang COMELEC,
mo gina siya ikuan kanang real.
Ang COMELEC naman po na sila caravan, mag-educate sa mga tao nga. Unsay sakto nga pag-vote, pag-stay, dili ko tangal mark. So, wala po ko kabalo unsay nature ang activity ninyo, ma'am. Na imong giatuan. So, kana nga naakay doubt, maybe, hindi ko siya kuan. Sana imo ang PPP nga giatuan, then ano, kana, mga teachers gipaadto po di ay mo.
Ang lahi man ang shading dire attorney. Kay paano man gyud kanang linear gid nila tanan. Dahil kape ihatag.
Ay, klaro, nag-uday kayo. Ang
Oh,
pinaka practice
dili lang to educate.
Pag-save sa circle.
Dili attorney kani ra gid dapat ang politiko imong sida ng mga tao.
Wala. Klaro na kayo naman, balag di ka mangutana. Klaro na kaayo. Klaro na kay sa activity.
Ako lang kanang using the SWD.
Kana, Mark, kung tinuod nga gigamit sila na, iman na pwede, ang stricto gani kaayo ang COMELEC resolution niya, kung pangitan manghatag, kung mga hinabang, mga relief goods, it should be the national, the Philippine Red Cross. So, ang Red Cross may manghatag, with assistance of COA, so, kana, so ang Red Cross may manghatag gani, bawal na ng manghatag ng mga DSWD, etc. Exact kung na ay exemption, written exemption sa COMELEC. Mana, stricto man kaya ang COMELEC ka doon. Nabot lang ano sa inyo, ano na ay DSWD. Kung tinuod ba yun nga DSWD na.
Kami teachers at practical kay experience at shading. O wala may ana pero diri sa amo ang mga barangay na ana siya.
Pero anong nakatagan mo, ma'am? Sana, kanang tawo, kagaan? Matagal mo.
Muna among kuan kay kuan kanang actually murag dili siya dungan attorney kanang nag-allocate sila og time and budget intended for kanang mga lumulupyo sa barabara SWD. So dunay murag mga workers from SWD dayon
Nag-distribute.
house to house nila sa
House man. Pero wala shading. Wala iniingon nga, ma'am, butari si Kuan ha.
wala shading nga nahitabo attorney pero nalan tay mga hocus pocus gyapon attorney kay naghatag man sila gift pack dayon hatag silang mga kana pero sa ilaw silang gift pack ko ilang line up dito
Ay, wala. Klaro na.
dayon
Pangupanya
first batch to dayon batch na mao tong nahitabo nga doon na shading nga sa mga lumulupyo sa barangay. Kami teachers, hindi may ma-appeal. Pero, I have to be honest, teachers sa amo ang lugar, kanang, there was really a time before January, December to siya man siguro nahitabo, na ipaad to be og particular place, nagtatapok lugar mi dito sa amo ang local sa city. Dayon, itagaan lugar kuno mi og kanang mga aid mga something ingon ana na nakadawat mi og 3,000. 3,000. Dayon, naa may mga forms na gipigapan from the DSWD. Mo tay ako ang kuan murag kana.
So murag in the guide lang na legit to. Pero nade gisugtok. Dili yun na siya, ma'am. Kung ingon ana, klaro na, ma'am. Bawal
Hi.
sila madapil sa inhibition, no? Isugsok di ay ang ngalan. Na to siya. Na to, ma'am. Pangumpan niya na.
Oo lagi, dagan ka sila mga
Murag dati nila, tactic. So, naalala kung na mo reklamo na, wala. Nasa hilom lang ang tanan.
mga computer.
Okay, napay question.
Thank you, Attorney.
Yes, welcome. Basta ingon ana, ma'am, kay mag-affect sa inyo ang credibility as member of the Board of Election Inspector kay samok din, nagbubutin ka ng election ka ng mga istorya dayon. Or question jud ka na imo ang credibility. Likay-likay na lang mo.
Gubot kay diri attorney. Wala pa eleksyon na namatay politiko.
Uy.
Unang ning atras sa
Iso?
lang ko serve. Yes.
So, katad
Kuan ka ng ning dagag kuan vice governor.
Sir?
Patay gyud siya.
Uy,
Yes, Attorney.
karon ra na bago haduka ko sa imo diha uy.
Wala ko ning serve kay hadlo karon. Itit kay ang eleksyon.
Uy, ano man na? Ay,
Ba.
Misamis Occidental no silingan naman ta. Tubungan din norte man mi. Hala uy. Mangutan ako sa akong kaila kumusta ang Miss O. Ala di ay, tamok na di ay mo di diha.
Layo pa na eleksyon na namatay sa
So mauda ko itong na ay nag-question karon what if nga mo dili na lang siya mo dayon. Nasa listahan. Na plano nga mo kuan review. Di ay, sa inyo di ay.
yes, attorney. Pero ning kuan ako, ning balibat ako attorney, ning mo serve karon next election na lang.
Kubot di ay mo karon. Hala oy, haduka man ana oy. Sige, pag-amping mo, maura dyan ako may istorya.
Thank you attorney.
Amping lang. Sige, naapay pangutana.
Hello, Attorney.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. My question is regarding about kani sa education naman gud may ginagawa nga intervention. So community partnerships sa regarding po ni siya sa kanabitang sa mga politiko nga willing to donate. And then since to donate something para sa amo ang community intervention para sa students. Now, is it okay if it's prior to the donation given prior to the election ban? Pwede ba gihapon pwede na ba siya dawaton or dili jud dapat?
Sa to again daw ma'am na amo oy
Nami ka ng community intervention for the students and then the students are having hard time to answer their modules and then napod may problem of reading. So, willing sila mo donate o kanang mga materials or kuan para ana nga intervention like mga chairs, monoblock,
personal nila.
Ingon sa personal nila nga kwarta donation. But that happens prior to the election ban. So, kabalo na mi attorney nga mulan sir siya kay layo pala election ban. Kabalo naman mi na naman siya yung mga flyers ipanghatag pod.
For me, okay naman siya kung para sa ingon anak nga cause, then mo pa siya ni ingon ninyo nga, putari or ingon anak. Murag, unsa na siya na event ka ng community, sa inyo ana na, official na siya nga event, or unsa na?
Lamang gud mi sa DepEd nga community partnership, we need to conduct
community.
intervention. Oo.
So, ingon na din, personal niya nga kwarta din, before pa siya sa election ban. Okay naman.
Okay ra. Pero kung naidala nga damay gi-appeal gud nga ang picture like flyers ina na kay naman koy parents involved din. So for now giundang na mo ang sa niya. Ang program kay kuan man
Tingod kay gamiton niya sa
gamiton laga. Kay namay parents good.
Yung reklamo?
Damay mga parents gud nga na ma'am namay appeal nga katubang ila ang ilang nawong ilang flyers appeal
na, no?
lagi na ba pasimple lang nga pangampanya so among giundang na lang imbis nindot unta ang amuha nga kuan amuha nga unta tumong mura mag
Gamit na noon. Nag-isakura na, ma'am, nga wala ninyong padayon. Magamit niya sa pamulitika ng para sa mga bata ba?
Then another
nagamiton ra gyud.
Then another food attorney kay na ako'y co-teacher nga naksapan siya actually sa COMELEC nga nag-change yung mind actually na humana sila dito sa iba na sila na orient na sila dito sa MIPANG hindi na lang siya mo serve then ang ending kay giinan man siya nga pabayaran daw ko sa iya ang mga nag-ato dito
Dayon
kuan tinuod siya attorney nga kuan makabayad din siya sa or kinahanglan gyud ipadayon na jud niya tong iya ang kuan kay nagproblema mo siya for now nagproblema siya kay di na siya ganahan mo sir
Paano niya?
Change yung mind medyo samot pa ko ang election pero medyo init din tayo
For me, mere change of mind nga basta-basta na inana din ang gobyerno nakagasto na kana nag-training dito sa Mibang Hotel, no? Then di ba mo dawat man mo per time na may alawan then naapay then per head man ang gastuan na may bayad sa inyo diba dito mo nakatulog
dito sila nangatulog attorney
so ingon ana kung di ingon ako malek pabayaron kailangan na po ako malek mag-train og lain so
makabayad siya
dyan if ingon ana so kato gasto to sa Comelec
gasto sa
ingon
COMELEC
ana kung ako malek na ingon ana so maybe na sa guidelines sa Comelec wala po kabatangay if ever nga ang teacher na humana na siya seminar tanan natagaan pag-alawan then pag-uman kay mo back out lang kay dili lang niya kuan nahatod siya or just the near niya wala lang nagbago iya una-una wala mo sa og tanan nasa una-una lang ba walay sa tawag ana walay positive walay basis walay positive na positive act bitaw or kanang actual na action or nabay imminent danger yun sa iya wala man sa muna lang
pero ang akong kuan attorney kay kuan man siya kanang nasa naman siya sakit ako lang siya gainan is it legit nga ako siya gainan nga medical kay kuan man gud siya kanang cancer survivor siya actually kuan na siya pero nag-take gyapon nag-take gyapon siya medication
nirefuse na lang sa siya before atong seminar kaya na-present naman to iyang condition aya siya seminar
mo lagi
na
ako lang kung may
nya pabalo na siya na ato siya sakit ngayon ana may butang sa aya niya na discover after siguro consider dagway ang Comelec makuan man pud good kay mag-train na pud og lain
mo lagi dapat unta before pa lang unta adto
before ta nagasto dawat sa alawan mahago man po ng Comelec niya naman ay gisubay ng Comelec timeline hapit naman po election so ingon
thank you attorney noted
ina lang siya ha ibalibad na to siya sa UK kung ingon ala lang una-una lang ba nga dili day mura man upuan kay mura una-una ba niya wala galing imminent danger or makakita or incident nga makakos sa imo para withdraw ka sa imo ang membership at PEI. Dili gyud na dawato na nga
Oo.
kaya ko na lang tanan mo.
Sige, attorney, thank you.
Group man mi patay, walay may promoter. Mo awat ang uban.
Oo, Jud.
Lagi. Okay. Okay. Napala ang question.
Thank you, attorney. Salamat kayo.
Yes, welcome. Napay question. Apa? Napay question ka? Napay question. Mga pangutana. Napa? Wala na, gigutom na
Ako
mo.
wala na, attorney. Salamat.
Ah. Okay.
The question, attorney.
Oh, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Salamat kaayo,
Wala
attorney.
na. Oh, welcome, Doc.
Thank you po kaayo. Kaklase po ko direct TTP katong mga unit ng education. Manag-ana-ana ako din. Salamat kayo, attorney.
Oh, welcome. Yes, sir.
For
Welcome.
sharing your expertise. We hope na makuha pa ka na
Thank you
mo
kayo.
susunod, ha?
Oh, okay kayo. Ingnalan jud ko. I'm very willing yun, sir. Willing
Kasi, sir,
kayo.
Si Sir Vincent, kikulbaan na to karon.
Kayo, no? Sapot siya.
Kay murag ang result, no? April 12.
Ay, oh, hala. Oh. Wala, di na to katulog-tugod.
Oh, good. Di na gito
Di
matulog.
na to katulog. Sige na to ganoon na. Ingat yun, sir. Kana surrender ata ng sa Ginoo. Kay di man nato na makontrol na ang mga butang. Ginoo. Kuan na yun. Kailangan ko tag divine intervention.
Salamat kay attorney, ha?
Yes. Okay, Doc. So,
Hopefully, maka-dinner date with Sir Vincent Puhon, ha?
Oo. Oo. Ano?
Salamat kayo.
Yes, Doc. Welcome. Naman kung mga kaila din dito ko.
Ano yan?
Doris. Mary
Hello.
Liz. Hi. Kung may dali sa ABC, din nakita ko din ni Joy Mugawa.
Daghan pagkita na sila, attorney. Galing kay Brad out.
Wala ko dayo, Engineer Nieves.
Hi, attorney.
Ano nila?
ABC.
Sa ABC. So, thank you kaayo sa pagkuan sa ako.
Salamat, attorney.
Yes, thank
Tayo.
you.
Salamat, attorney.
Happy lunch.
Thank you, attorney. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. God bless us all.
Bye.
Salamat kayo.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Leave na ko, Doc.
Oh, salamat, attorney.
Thank you. God bless us all. Bye-bye.
Okay, children.
Hello, Doc.
Hello. We do not have class this afternoon, ha?
Hello, sir.
Yay! Wala tayong klase this afternoon o tomorrow. Next
Yes.
weekend na po. Next weekend, no? Saturday.
Salamat, Doc. Kaya makapamuti mo na nung.
So, did you learn something from attorney?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Very thorough and very positive sa kaayo kailangan. So, ang sunod na to nga speaker, si Ma'am Lorma Pukulan. No, next weekend. So, ang atong topic, mag-isgot ta about financial and
Ayun ka, Doc.
Nabitag class.
hello, Pukulan. Okay ra mo?
Okay na, Doc.
Pero kay sir.
Oh, si Ma'am Lorma Pukulan, kabalo magkita ni Ma'am Lorma, no? Nga maayo
Kayo.
kaayo. So, ang ato ang hisgutan, mag-hisgot ta about fiscal management and procurement. Mauna siya. So,
Kung kuan sa Black Saturday.
Black Saturday ba na? Wala, di lang sa kita magklase.
Mahal na ikaw, Doc. Doc, Black Saturday?
Sunod na lang, sa sunod. Kalos pa may week, sir, Holy Week. Ayaw na daw, dito sa data. Sa 23 na lang ka, whole day. Okay na mo.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay kayo, sir. So sa 23 whole day sa atong class. So this afternoon, wala tayong klase hukuman. Ha? Dahil sa 23 na tapos.
Okay, Doc.
Salamat kayo, ha? Salamat.
Salamat, Doc.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Blooming day ka, Doc.
Bye-bye.
Survive Ras now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Kapit na video ka na.
Ma'am, 23 whole day daw. Wala pa daw kay pwede sumama daw.
Bye-bye, Ma'am Claire.
Bye sa tanan, nakasurvive yung run out. Forget, wala lagi na video.